Narrated Saad, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam distributed zakah among a group of people while I was sitting there, but Allah's Messenger left a man whom I thought the best of the lot. I asked Allah's Messenger, "Why have you left that person? By Allah, I regard him as a faithful believer." The Prophet commented, "Or merely a Muslim." I remained quiet for a while, but could not help repeating my question because of what I knew about him, and then asked Allah's Messenger, "Why have you left so-and-so?" By Allah, he is a faithful believer. The Prophet again said, "Or merely a Muslim." And I could not help repeating my question because of what I knew about him. Then the Prophet said, "O Saad, I give to a person while another is dearer to me, for fear that he might be thrown on his face in the fire by Allah." 21. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr. A person asked Allah's Messenger, "What sort of deeds in or what qualities of Islam are good?" He replied, "To feed the poor and greet those whom you know and those whom you don't know." 22. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, "I was shown the hellfire, and that the majority of its dwellers were women who were ungrateful." It was asked, "Do they disbelieve in Allah, or are they ungrateful to Allah?" He replied, "They are ungrateful to their husbands, and are ungrateful for the favours and the good charitable deeds done to them. If you have always been good, benevolent to one of them, and then she sees something in you not of her liking, she will say, 'I have never received any good from you.'" 23. Narrated Al-Marur. At Ar-Rabada, I met Abu Dhar, who was wearing a cloak, and his slave too was wearing a similar one. I asked about the reason for it. He replied, "I abused a person by calling his mother with bad names." The Prophet said to me, "O Abu Dhar, did you abuse him by calling his mother with bad names? You still have some characteristics of ignorance. Your slaves are your brothers, and Allah has put them under your command. So whoever has a brother under his command should feed him of what he eats and dress him with what he wears. Do not ask them slaves to do things beyond their capacity, power, and if you do so, then help them." Narrated Al-Ahnaf bin Qais. While I was going to help this man, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Abu Bakr met me and asked, "Where are you going?" I replied, "I am going to help that person." He said, "Go back, for I have heard Allah's Messenger saying, when two Muslims meet each other with their swords, both the murderer as well as the murdered will go to the hellfire." I said, "O Allah's Messenger, it is all right for the murderer, but what about the murdered one?" Allah's Messenger replied, "He surely had the intention to kill his companion." Narrated Abdullah. When the following verse was revealed, "It is those who believe and confuse not their belief with wrong worshipping others besides Allah." 683. The companions of Allah's Messenger asked, "Who is amongst us who had not done injustice wrong?" Allah revealed, "No doubt, joining others in worship with Allah is a great injustice, wrong indeed." 31:13. 26. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "The signs of a hypocrite are three. 1. Whenever he speaks, he tells a lie. 2. Whenever he promises, he always breaks it. 3. If you trust him, he proves to be dishonest. If you keep something as a trust with him, he will not return it." 27. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr. The Prophet said, "Whoever has the following four characteristics will be a pure hypocrite, and whoever has one of the following four characteristics will have one characteristic of hypocrisy unless and until he gives it up. 1. Whenever he is interested, he betrays. 2. Whenever he speaks, he tells a lie. 3. Whenever he makes a covenant, he proves treacherous. 4. When he quarrels, he behaves in a very imprudent, evil, and insulting manner. 28. Narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, "Whoever establishes the prayer on the night of Qadr out of sincere faith and hoping to attain Allah's reward, not to show off, then all his past sins will be forgiven." Book 2 Belief. 30. Narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever establishes prayer during the nights of Ramadan, faithfully out of sincere faith and hoping to attain Allah's reward, not for showing off, all his past sins will be forgiven. 31. Narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, "Whoever fasts during the month of Ramadan out of sincere faith and hoping to attain Allah's rewards, then all his past sins will be forgiven." 32. Narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "Religion is very easy, and whoever overburdens himself in his religion will not be able to continue in that way. So you should not be extremists, but try to be near to perfection and receive the good tidings that you will be rewarded, and gain strength by worshipping in the mornings, the afternoons, and during the last hours of the nights." 33. Narrated Al-Bara bin Azib. When the Prophet came to Medina, he stayed first with his grandfathers or maternal uncles from Ansar. He offered his prayers facing Baytul Maqdis, Jerusalem, for 16 or 17 months, but he wished that he could pray facing the Kaaba at Mecca. The first prayer which he offered facing the Kaaba was the Asr prayer in the company of some people. Then one of those who had offered that prayer with him came out and passed by some people in a mosque who were bowing during the prayers facing Jerusalem. He said, addressing them, "By Allah, I testify that I have prayed with Allah's Messenger facing Mecca, Kaaba." Hearing that, those people changed their direction towards the Kaaba immediately. Jews and the people of the Scripture used to be pleased to meet the Prophet facing Jerusalem in prayers, but when he changed his direction towards the Kaaba during the prayers, they disapproved of it. Al-Bara added, "Before we changed our direction toward the Kaaba Mecca in prayers, some Muslims had died or had been killed, and we did not know what to say about them regarding their prayers. Allah then revealed, and Allah would never make your faith prayers be lost, i.e. the prayers of those Muslims were valid." 2:143. Surah Baqarah, verse 143. 34. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Allah's Messenger said, "If a person embraces Islam sincerely, then Allah shall forgive all his past sins, and after that starts the settlement of accounts. The reward of his good deeds will be 10 times to 700 times for each good deed, and one evil deed will be recorded as it is, unless Allah forgives it." 35. Narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, "If any one of you follow strictly his Islamic religion, then his good deeds will be rewarded 10 times to 700 times for each good deed, and a bad deed will be recorded as it is. 36. Narrated Aisha, once the Prophet came while a man was sitting with him. He said, "Who is she?" I replied, "She is so and so." Once the Prophet came while a woman was sitting with me. He said, "Who is she?" I replied, "She is so and so," and told him about her excessive praying. He said disapprovingly, "Do good deeds which is within your capacity, without being overtaxed, as Allah does not get tired of giving rewards, but surely you will get tired, and the best deed, act of worship in the sight of Allah, is that which is done regularly." 37. Narrated Anas, the Prophet said, "Whoever said none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and has in his heart good faith equal to the weight of a barley grain, will be taken out of hell. And whoever said none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and has in his heart good faith equal to the weight of a wheat grain, will be taken out of hell. And whoever said none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and has in his heart good faith equal to the weight of an atom, will be taken out of hell." 38. Narrated Umar bin al-Khattab, once a Jew said to me, "O the chief of believers, there is a verse in your holy book which is read by all of you Muslims, and had it been revealed to us, we would have taken that day on which it was revealed as a day of celebration." Umar bin al-Khattab asked, "Which is the verse?" The Jew replied, "This day I have perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion." 5:3. Umar replied, "No doubt we know when and where this verse was revealed to the Prophet. It was Friday, and the Prophet was standing at Arafah, i.e. the day of Hajj." 39. Narrated Talha bin Ubaydullah, a man from Najd with unkempt hair came to Allah's Messenger, and we heard his loud voice, but could not understand what he was saying till he came near, and then we came to know that he was asking about Islam. Allah's Messenger said, "You have to offer prayers perfectly 5 times in a day and night, 24 hours. The man asked, "Is there any more praying?" Allah's Messenger replied, "No, but if you want to offer the Nawafil prayers, you can." Allah's Messenger further said to him, "You have to observe fasts during the month of Ramadan." The man asked, "Is there any more fasting?" Allah's Messenger replied, "No, but if you want to observe the Nawafil fasts, you can." Then Allah's Messenger further said to him, "You have to pay the zakah, obligatory charity." The man asked, "Is there anything other than the zakah for me to pay?" Allah's Messenger replied, "No, unless you want to give alms of your own." And then that man retreated, saying, "By Allah, I will never do less nor more than this." Allah's Messenger said, "If what he said is true, then he will be successful, i.e., he will be granted paradise." 40. Narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's Messenger said, "A believer who accompanies the funeral procession of a Muslim out of sincere faith and hoping to attain Allah's reward, and remains with it till the funeral prayer is offered and the burial ceremonies are over, he will return with a reward of 2 qirats. Each qira is like the size of the Mount Uhud. He who offers the funeral prayer only and returns before the burial will return with the reward of 1 qirat only." 41. Narrated Abdullah. The Prophet said, abusing a Muslim is fusuq, an evil doing, and killing him is kufr, disbelief. 42. Narrated Ubadah bin as-Samit. Allah's Messenger went out to inform the people about the date of the night of decree, al-Qadr, but there happened a quarrel between two Muslim men. The Prophet said, I came out to inform you about the date of the night of al-Qadr, but as so and so and so and so quarrelled, its knowledge was taken away. I forgot it, and maybe it was better for you. Now look for it in the 7th, the 9th, and the 5th of the last 10 nights of the month of Ramadan. 43. Narrated Abu Huraira. One day, while the Prophet was sitting in the company of some people, the angel Gabriel came and asked, what is faith? Allah's Messenger replied, faith is to believe in Allah, His angels, the meeting with Him, His apostles, and to believe in resurrection. Then he further asked, what is Islam? Allah's Messenger replied, to worship Allah alone and none else, to offer prayers perfectly, to pay for compulsory charity, zakat, and to observe fasts during the month of Ramadan. Then he further asked, what is ihsan, perfection? Allah's Messenger replied, to worship Allah as if you see Him, and if you cannot achieve this state of devotion, then you must consider that He is looking at you. He further asked, when will the hour be established? Allah's Messenger replied, the answerer has no better knowledge than the questioner, but I will inform you about its portents. 1. When a slave lady gives birth to her master. 2. When the shepherds of black camels start boasting and competing with others in the construction of higher buildings. And the hour is one of the 5 things which nobody knows except Allah. The Prophet then recited, verily, with Allah alone is the knowledge of the hour. 31-34. Then that man, Gabriel, left, and the Prophet asked his companions to call him back, but they could not see him. Then the Prophet said, that was Gabriel, who came to teach the people their religion. Abu Abdullah said, he, the Prophet, considered all that as a part of faith. 44. Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas. I was informed by Abu Sufyan that Heraclius said to him, I asked you whether the followers of Muhammad was increasing or decreasing. You replied that they were increasing, and in fact this is the way of true faith, till it is complete in all its aspects. I further asked you whether there was anybody who, after embracing the Prophet's religion Islam, became displeased and discarded it. You replied in the negative, and in fact this is a sign of true faith. When its delight enters the heart and mixes with them completely, nobody can be displeased with it. 45. Narrated An-Nu'man bin Bashir. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, both legal and illegal things are evident, but in between them are doubtful, suspicious things, and most of the people have no knowledge about them. So whoever saves himself from these suspicious things saves his religion and his honor, and whoever indulges in these suspicious things is like a shepherd who grazes his animals near the hima, private pasture of someone else, and at any moment he is liable to get in it. O people, beware, every king has a hima, and the hima of Allah on earth is His illegal, forbidden things. Beware, there is a piece of flesh in the body. If it becomes good, reformed, the whole body becomes good. But if it gets spoiled, the whole body gets spoiled, and that is the heart. 46. Narrated Abu Jamra. I used to sit with Ibn Abbas, and he made me sit on his sitting place. He requested me to stay with him in order that he might give me a share from his property, so I stayed with him for 2 months. Once he told me that when the delegation of the tribe of Abdul Qais came to the Prophet asked them, Who are the people, i.e. you, or who are the delegate? They replied, We are from the tribe of Abdul Qais. Neither will you have disgrace, nor will you regret, they said. O Allah's Messenger, we cannot come to you except in the sacred month, and there is the infidel tribe of Mudar intervening between you and us. So please order us to do something good, religious deeds, so that we may inform our people whom we have left behind at home, and that we may enter paradise by acting on them. Then they asked about drinks, what is legal and what is illegal. The Prophet ordered them to do 4 things and forbade them from 4 things. He ordered them to believe in Allah alone and asked them, Do you know what is meant by believing in Allah alone? They replied, Allah and His Apostle know better. Thereupon the Prophet said, It means 1. To testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is Allah's messenger. 2. To offer prayers perfectly. 3. To pay the zakah, obligatory charity. 4. To observe fast during the month of Ramadan. 5. And to pay al-khumus, 1/5 of the booty, to be given in Allah's cause. Then he forbade them 4 things, namely Hantam, Duba, Nakir, and Muzaffat, or Mukayyar. They were the names of pots in which alcoholic drinks were prepared. The Prophet mentioned the container of wine, and he meant the wine itself. The Prophet further said to them, Memorize them, these instructions, and convey them to the people whom you have left behind. (47) Narrated Umar bin al-Khattab, Allah's Messenger said, The reward of deeds depends upon the intention, and every person will get the reward according to what he has intended. So whoever emigrated for Allah and His Apostle, then his emigration was for Allah and His Apostle. And whoever emigrated for worldly benefits or for a woman to marry, his emigration was for what he emigrated for. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, the Prophet said, If a man spends on his family with the intention of having a reward from Allah sincerely, for Allah's sake, then it is a kind of almsgiving in reward for him. Narrated Sayyid bin Abi Waqqas, 49. Allah's Messenger said, You will be rewarded for whatever you spend for Allah's sake, even if it were a morsel which you put in your wife's mouth. 50. Narrated Jarir bin Abdullah, I gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger for the following. 1. Offer prayers perfectly. 2. Pay the zakah, obligatory charity. 3. And be sincere and true to every Muslim. 51. Narrated Ziyad bin Ilaqa, I heard Jarir bin Abdullah praising Allah on the day when Al-Mughira bin Shuba died. He, Jarir, got up on the pulpit and thanked and praised Allah and said, Be afraid of Allah alone, who has none along with him to be worshipped. You should be calm and quiet till the new chief comes to you, and he will come to you soon. Ask Allah's forgiveness for your late chief, because he himself loved to forgive others. Jarir added, Amma ba'du, now then, I went to the Prophet and said, I give my pledge and allegiance to you for Islam. The Prophet conditioned my pledge for me to be sincere and true to every Muslim, so I gave my pledge for him for this. By the Lord of this mosque, I am sincere and true to you, Muslims. Then Jarir asked for Allah's forgiveness and came down from the pulpit.